This is a really brief, I'm going to try and make it brief, follow-on video from the Baby G's video on racist Christians. About a month ago now, jeez, time has flown. About a month ago, I was up in Sydney. I was up in Sydney taking a cab from the airport because I always like to hammer stuff out with talk to the cab drivers as I'm going. It's always good when you come into a new city or a place you haven't been for a while, just to feel them out, say, hey, there haven't been like any race riots or nothing of local interest has happened recently, and they'll usually be pretty good for, oh yeah, don't mention this. It tends to get up people's noses. Can't put a value on it. The bloke I was talking to had been living in Australia for a good couple of years, had a fairly good grasp on the accent, and he was originally, I believe, from Somalia, I think it was. And, you know, he's got kids growing up here and they're growing up Aussie, and he said, geez, I wish my wife had learned a bit of English, because he said that she hangs out with her friends and they all speak Somalian together, and, you know, or is it Somali? You know, an English major I am not. What basically he and I wound up having a bit of a discussion about, and I thought it was quite good for both of us. I always believe in free discussion. I talked to him about how culture is like a two-way street. You got to give as much as you can take. Australia has a very unique culture. We originally started off as a penal colony, so we had the colonial spirit, and then they brought in the entrepreneurs. That's the Governor Phillip days, and he was a heck of a bloke, very practical, and, you know, for the situation we made the best of it. And then, you know, we became, you know, they found gold and that sort of got things rolling, so we turned into an investment culture, or still coming mostly from Britain, though there were South Sea traders who were coming in from Queensland. And you got to remember, I'm on the southern tip of the east coast here. You don't get any more southern unless you're either in Antarctica or Tasmania. So what you're basically looking at is a real case of people starting to pan out, find what we wanted. At the end of World War I, we'd lost a lot of the young men, and truth told, the population was down a bit for political liking. So in fear of our northern neighbours of Asian descent, because that's where they're living, that's where they're from, what we found was we needed to get more people in. Obviously, our first pick were more English, and they brought a new English, like a more modern English type of perspective to things, especially after World War II, when we were really down a bit. And when they started petering out, we went for Nordics if we could get them. Couldn't get many of them. To be fair, it is the other side of the planet, and you don't know a lot about it. We also went for Greeks and Italians, and we hit the jackpot there, especially as far as food went. And they're great people. And, you know, okay, a couple of people called some words. One or two of them started with W, you know the ones. And, you know, as far as that went, it's just petty power games. Really, everyone's an Aussie now. And I use the analogy with the taxi driver. It's like a food court. In the food court, you'll see many stalls. You can style them any way you want. Any kind of food, it's all good. We all have the same health inspectors going around going, it's got E. coli in it, nope, salmonella, nope. Okay, brilliant. How about it? You know, you may not do great, you may want to assimilate more to someone else's food or get a share of other foods that everyone else is selling, or maybe you just want to specialize in one and everyone goes, that guy makes really good, I don't know, like chicken masala or something. I'm a bit of a fan myself. So what I'm saying is that culture is a bit like a food court. You take the rules of the food court and you can bring your own flavour to it. Now, can the people in the food court ultimately vote to change what the health inspector says is all right, and how the stalls have their minimum operating standards set, and should some people get, you know, some stalls get bigger spaces than others if they can afford it? Yeah. If they bring something to the table, sure. That's a free market aspect. However, that I find is a really matter of culture. I mean, and there's culture for small towns, there's also for big cities, there's culture for suburbs. Lord knows that suburbs have a big snobbery game between each other. It doesn't matter how big or small it is, human beings like having their culture. It's something I keep finding myself coming up against again and again. It's archetypes, it's what we want to see ourselves as. And This guy wanted to see his wife, you know, not perfect, but, you know, able to do a little bit of social butterflying around. And I understand him. So, you know, I gave him a bit of perspective, and I said, you know, and you look at Australia's history, personally, I don't see immigration as a bad thing. As long as they're willing to come here and play by the rules. You set out the rules, show them where they can be as creative as they like. That's freedom and liberty right there. Because you can take as many liberties within certain guidelines. Certain things we have blocked off. We will not repeal these certain things. You aren't allowed to kill people without a very, very, very good reason. You know, you're not allowed to hurt people without a very, very good reason. And we have very, very good reasons for those rules. Now, if that changes in the future, yeah, that's fine. However, the real question with immigration and culture is people feeling that they're losing stuff without gaining anything significant, or that they're having all their rules disregarded without a good reason. So you've got to be able to find yourself not exactly a niche, you've got to be able to plaster yourself into a way of thinking. That's the tricky bit. A way of thinking that allows a person to have a different take on the same idea. I can think about computers. I can think about them. How many styles of cases do you see? And that's what I mean. It's just the food court stands. And that can be as small as a small town, as big as a big city, a country, a planet. It's all about what people consider valuable. What comes from here. And occasionally from here. Anyway, hope this has been some food for thought.